Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it's Life Mastery Radio Day. That's obvious, right? And Jackie and I, we get in the groove, we meet up every Tuesday, and we invite some really groovy guests on to talk about some of their great thoughts and ideas for us to use on our very own life mastery journey. These authors, speakers, coaches are on the cutting edge of self-empowerment, self-improvement, and they're here. Interesting stories, interesting topics, and to share with you some great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. It's also groovy days because when I woke up, I made it that way. And it's real easy. You just decide to do that, and the whole day turns out to be a groovy deal. Something might happen, something might change, but I can always think back and say, hey, I started out in a groovy day. I can turn this around, and 10 times out of 10, it does. Might be a little bit out of my control, but it does. So you can do that too. As always, I have my co-host with me today, Jackie, the infamous Jackie Bailey. Yay, Jackie.
Thank you.
You can Google her and find she is just on fire and doing some amazing things and leaving me in the dust. I feel like I'm being left in the dust almost. I better get on my high horse and start.
Maybe you need to declutter. We're going to talk about that today.
We're going to talk about that today. She's very involved with teaching kids how to speak from their heart and how to organize their thoughts and put them together and create a keynote speech, all kinds of cool stuff. And
I have a wonderful announcement to make that I actually
you go for it,
this morning, because a year ago, almost to the day, Dr. Ali Karani, who's been a guest on our show, he and I formed a partnership, and we started a community with 12 people. It's a community to serve families who have children or grandparents or whatever, just to serve families in any way that we can. And we started that a year ago today with 12 people. And the goal was to reach 1 million families in 1 year, in 2022. Well, we just had our meeting before this one, where we celebrated our first birthday with 350 members in our community. And last year, the numbers are officially in. We met, supported, and sustained 1,850,000 families last year. Woohoo! With programs and opportunities and things like that. So
that's a big deal. Congrats.
Tremendous. It's called Family Circle. And we have been working really hard, putting on lots of workshops and things for families. We've done
I've heard of that before. Where have I? Oh, yeah, the cartoon.
It used to be a comic. Yeah, it was a comic. And it was fun. I remember reading those every Sunday morning.
So does this keep going, and where can people find out more?
Yeah, keeps going. Hey, just meet up with me at JackieBailey360.com, and everything I'm doing is right out there in the open. I'm not hiding anything, and you can figure out how to get involved with Family Circle right there. If you're someone who serves parents, kids, grandparents, and that could be with anything, whether it's grief related, whether it's ADHD related, whether it's divorce, anything like that, it's all there. So
we've talked about some of those topics here on the show, and yeah, that's pretty cool. That's very cool.
Now it is really cool.
Now I'm really gonna dust myself off because I'm just getting all dusty. That's really cool, Jackie. I'm impressed, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. It just goes to show that you can start with the first step. You just start with one step, and you really have no idea when you have the right people surrounding you what can be accomplished.
It
So,
all starts with a vision. It
yeah.
all starts with a vision, and then the next thing appears, and then the next thing appears, and you just keep right on trucking. That is so cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Get a hold of Jackie Bailey360.com, or just Google Jackie Bailey. You will end up somewhere where she's involved. Trust me.
Although there is a real estate agent named Jackie Bailey somewhere in the Houston area. That's not me. So, she and I kind of compete for the top spot on Google.
That's fun. I do want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.com. You can go there. Any links that we talk about will be posted right there. Later on in the week, Jackie will write a blog post about this show, and you can go there and read some of her thoughts and ideas. And then you can go to YouTube and find the YouTube video of this show and replay it and re-listen to it. And it never fails. You listen to something twice, you always come away with two different thoughts and ideas. So bookmark Life Mastery Radio on YouTube. While you're on the website, my book is there, 6 Keys to Life Mastery. Jackie's book is there. You can see it in the back. She's got
I've
3 or
got
4 books.
two books published in 2022. We have official launch of this one on the 26th of this month. So looking forward to all of that.
All the links are there, except for your new books. We're gonna have to put those new book links up there. Send me those links and I'll make sure those get put on the website.
They're
Those will
right
be
there
up
on JackieBailey360.com. If anybody
Okay.
wants them, they're right there.
I'll go there and get them. And then her other book that was published, how long's it been now? Almost 10
This was
years.
published. My first book. Yes, that was in 2014. So it's been 9 years. 9 years.
9 years. Self-centered leadership. And the
Self-centered
link for that one, I know for sure, is on lifemasteryradio.com. Alrighty then. I think today's guest, we're going to be talking about, it's a brand new baby year, and it's a brand new opportunity for you to just skyrocket into the heavens with your vision, your goals. And we have a really cool guest on with us today that will help us clean house, clean out all that dusty gray matter. Well, not the gray matter, but the dust between our ears. The gray matter has to stay. We got to keep that gray matter, otherwise we don't function. And our guest today is brought to us by Jackie Bailey. So that means she has the introduction.
I do. And Kitti is just one of those wonderful connections that I've made with people in 2022, some through Family Circle, but through other means as well. And so Kitti is someone that entrepreneurs and startups hire to help them eliminate their physical and mental clutter so they can put more focus on making money in their business. That is really important, even more so now. With over 20 years of experience in helping people get their surroundings under control, Kitti believes that physical clutter and lack of concentration are very closely related, mental clutter, in other words. She has developed a step-by-step one system to help her clients go from broke and overwhelmed to well-off and clutter-free. When Kitti herself hit rock bottom, she figured out strategies that worked for her ADHD brain and for her clients. And anyone struggling with either mental or physical clutter, Kitti's services will be of benefit to you. So we are delighted to have her on the show today so she can share with you some ways to declutter in more than just one way. All right, so welcome, Kitti, to the show. Yay, it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you so much, Todd. I'm truly honored to be here.
So go ahead, Jack.
No, go ahead. I think I was just going to ask her to share how she got started in something like this, but it sounds like you're probably heading that direction too. So we got the same.
Well, we just want to throw out there an explanation, right? There's many definitions. Most of us hear the word clutter and we think in our physical area, right? And that's important. I mean, that truly helps us, and that helps with our mental. So And then there's mental clutter. Are there any more? And maybe you can help us define those two.
Over to me.
Yep.
You're the clutter expert.
Well, as a matter, that is a really, really good question. I've never been asked that. And I would answer by saying that what we do at Declutter the Brain is declutter not only, we declutter the 5 pillars of life, not only the home, but your health. Getting, say, for example, okay, I'll go through them all. Declutter your home, your health, your habits, your heart. By your heart, I mean your relationships, and of course your head, hence declutter the brain. And I have addressed all of those in content over the last 2-3 years, and I'm amazed. My clients have actually helped me to realize that once you start to clear out some of the physical clutter, which is what they come to me for, the things, energy shifts in their relationships, in their health. They start noticing things just start to become clear. One client, for example, she just started to notice things that her husband said to her, and she said, I said, how long has this been going on? She says, probably a long time. It is just really irritating me now. You know?
Awareness.
Yeah.
Give us some examples. So that's really curious. You came up with those 5 pillars, because I never would have thought of those 5 as being cluttered. But when you say that and my mind starts going, I think, yeah, health. So I have this thought about this type of exercise that I should be doing on a daily basis, and I should be taking these supplements, and I should be eating these foods. Is that what you're talking? Explain to us how I could be cluttered in the area of health.
And you've done it the right way. You've chosen one of the 5 pillars, because what leads to overwhelm so often and leads to inertia from the overwhelm is by trying to address all 5 pillars at once. I am going to do a clean sweep for New Year, and I'm going to make myself an entirely different person, bam, overnight. No, you've done the right thing. You've just asked about one thing. Decluttering your health, it has a number of facets, but if you think about, well, examine your why first. And this is a basic tenet for everything. Why do I want to, for example, why would I want to declutter my health? What's wrong with it? Well, I'm 20 pounds overweight. I can barely make it up the stairs. You can pick one. People point and laugh at me. I don't know, pick one. And then you would say, okay, what can what at this point, the brain starts going into overwhelm and thinking, I'm too old, I can't do it, I've tried before, it's too much work. And all of those thoughts start going around in little circles. Imagine, if you will, a cartoon character, and they're fighting, right? And the dust is going. Well, the dust is going in your brain. So if you can break it down into steps, all right, this is why I want to declutter my health. And then set yourself goals that are attainable, and just breaking it down into the smallest steps that you can, so that it's so that
manageable.
it's not, yeah, exactly. And you have, all right, well, what do I want to do? Okay, let's pick on losing 20 pounds. All right. What's the first thing to do? And this actually applies to your physical clutter as well. All of the tenets are exactly the same across the 5 pillars. You wouldn't think so, would you? Decluttering your relationships. Okay, hear me out here. All right, get rid of the obvious junk first. In this case, we're talking about junk food. Get rid of the stuff that does not serve you. The Doritos, yes, they serve you very well, but you know what?
It tastes good.
Yeah, yeah, get rid of them. And your partner's going to say, well, leave some for me. No, go outside and get yourself a bit. Anyway, get rid of the obvious junk first. You're going to feel better immediately for having taken action. Number one, you're also going to go into withdrawal, by the way, but it'll pass. It'll pass. And then, all right, what am I going to? I've subtracted. Now, what am I going to add in? And you're envisioning all of this, by the way, as well. You have to really put it in your brain. Otherwise, it's not doing anything. All right. Well, you may not live on a diet of kale. But you're going to envision what it is that you're going to put in the fridge. And then the part is to make it a habit that will last longer than, listen to this, the average North American keeps their New Year's resolution or new habit, pick one, for 36 days. All right.
Wow.
Now,
I heard it was shorter, but
Yeah.
and yeah, this was a conservative study, but yeah, quite conservative, but let's say 36 days is relatively optimistic. But what if you could do it that declutter any area of your life such that it remained clutter free for life? And the only way I have found to be able to do that is to do it in small steps, in the babyest steps possible, and not beating yourself up. Now, many of your listeners are going to be overachievers, and they want it all done yesterday. They want it done now. And if at first I fail, well, I give up. All right, I'm not doing it again. Right? No, yeah, the mindset is important, and just remembering that, just like physical clutter, it did not accumulate overnight. Even if you've moved into an apartment, it's all in nice tidy boxes, we hope. We've all moved with garbage bags, come on. But the clutter did not accumulate overnight. The weight did not accumulate overnight. The anxiety did not accumulate overnight. It's not going to go away overnight. So be realistic and be kind to yourself. I know that's a buzzword, but it's true. And cut yourself some slack, pretty much, and just keep moving forward with small steps, because as Darren Hardy says, he's a hero of mine. If any of your audience knows him, he productivity coach. He swears by small consistent steps over time will compound. It has a compound effect, his book, on your life. So if you keep eating 10 Doritos a day, well, then it's going to take time, but that weight's going to pile on. But if you even knock it back to 9 Doritos for the week, then the 8 Doritos, do you see what I mean? It just has that compound effect.
There's a great metaphor for that, and it's, if you want to eat an elephant, do it one bite at a time, right?
It's the only way, Todd. It really is. And speaking as a massive overachiever, and yeah, again, have to have it all done yesterday. I've tried the other way and it doesn't work. Right. Small steps, and that is how it applies to everything. And the other pillars of life. Get rid of the obvious trash first, and then start to, like, when I say obvious trash, I mean pizza boxes, for example. Well, you got pizza boxes in your brain too. And don't get me started, and you may get me started about what social media and post-COVID life has done.
We can definitely talk about social media, because that is a pollutant, but I see Jackie's brain is just cranking away. I know she has something. Go for it.
Well, I was just going to say that I think that isn't it true that the reason that a lot of people fail in these New Year's resolutions they set is because they do try to tackle too much at a time and they wipe out all of their favorite foods and now it's just not enjoyable anymore. So they're more likely to bring those back on, right? But if you, rather than say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, it's probably more beneficial to say, I will only eat 8 Doritos a day, right? Because that is more specific and it's easier for you to keep that than this overwhelming feeling of I've got to lose 20 pounds. And I think that's a clutter in itself, right? Is we start to think about all the changes that we want to make or feel like we need to make. And then we get cluttered in our thinking about what's realistic and probable in the way of having success. So let's take these, and Todd was mentioning social media. That also is clutter. For me, I look at my cell phone where I can also view my emails and I see that there's like 800 emails sitting there. and I look at that and I go, oh my gosh, I got to find some time to clear those out of there because I clear them out on my desktop, but not necessarily on my mobile device, right? So it's not like they're really sitting there, but it can psychologically put me into this panic mode when I see that. And so to me, I don't know if that's one of your pillars that includes like virtual clutter, but that's definitely something that sends me into like a hyper mode. So when you're talking about all of these processes being about the same, no matter what kind of clutter you're trying to get rid of, what is the first step then? Is it setting a goal in some way, or is it just identifying what needs to go first? What's the first step that anybody could take in any of those pillars?
The first step is making a decision, plain and simple, making a decision on one goal. Because you mentioned about decluttering the phone or decluttering the emails. Well, you know what? I better start decluttering all of the addresses on here. And look at all these phone numbers. I don't even know who all they all are. And how am I going to get it all done?
Right.
Can you see where that can happen? And we dig our own mental grave by doing that, and we set ourselves up for overwhelm. And having gone down that rabbit hole, I'll come back to the question. Sorry about that. Make the decision on the one thing that you are going to declutter, the one thing or habit or room. And you were talking about my one sister. Can I share it quickly? Because it might give a good metaphor that everybody can say, oh, I see what she's talking about.
Yeah.
My one system is as follows, and it was originally for the physical decluttering that people came to me for. And it's one room at a time, one area of that room at a time, and one thing at a time. Do I have time to quickly explain what it is?
Go for it.
You do.
All right. Okay. One room at a time means that you're not trying to, with many of your audience would be entrepreneurs, I'm sure. So well, I'll do my office. Well, I should do the spare bedroom. I'll do both. No, don't do that. And there are a couple of good reasons for not trying to do 2 rooms at once. Well, I'm going to get bored, you hear. Yeah, I know you're going to get bored, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But if you focus on one thing, on one room, then, and that can be a room in your health pillar. Okay, focusing on one room, a room would be cutting down on the junk food. That's a category, if you will.
Right.
Okay, then you're just focused, and you can maintain your momentum. Whereas if you're bouncing back and forth, well, number one, your poor brain doesn't remember where it was when you come back from the room to the room, and takes you that 15 minutes to get back into character kind of thing. And it really does. And especially for ADHDers who have difficulty transitioning. So you make that decision on the one room. And then, all right, we're in the one room. Let's go with office for now. one area of that room, and it's the same principle, but just a little bit more, what is it? Focused. Is, okay, I'm gonna start in that corner. Well, you know, I should maybe think about my desk is looking a little ratty. What about the closet? That's small. I'm tired. I'll come back to it tomorrow. Okay, and that is what happens, and it has happened to me. This is how I know. So you make that decision. It's tough. It is not easy to make that decision, but make the decision and make it right. As Larry Winget says, just make the decision, make it right. And then here's the secret sauce. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, one thing at a time.
Wow.
Now, is it time consuming? I'm afraid so. Is it tedious? Yes, I'm afraid so. But is it the number one way that you will stay clutter free in any of the 5 pillars? Yes. And I'll explain why. I'll even give you a quick example. My very, very first client, right out of business school, she and that's where we had met. She had a very large L-shaped desk. And it was at least 6 inches high, covered in paper. I mean, wall to wall. And she said, we have to start here because I have no room to work. And there wasn't much room on the floor for her to put anything onto the floor, if you follow. So I said, okay, well, where do you normally sit? I sit here. Okay, good. Let's take the stack of papers and we're going to go through them one at a time. And she knew after she held herself back from jumping through the computer screen at me, she said, you're out of your mind. I said, if you have a better way, but it was my first client. I didn't want to lose her and I couldn't think of another way. So she said, tell you what, I'll give it a whirl. And she grossed for the first few minutes, but then something magical started to happen. About 7-8 minutes in, she starts flying through things saying, another bank statement, another bank statement. She looks at me, she says, I don't need these. My accountant doesn't need these bank statements. I can have them online. No more clutter coming in. Trade magazines. In her industry, if a trade magazine was more than certainly 6 months old, but closer to 3-4 months, but basically 6 months was completely unusable. And so she found herself, we had thrown out on the first session, I think 8 trade magazines. Now, what she did report on our next session was, she said, I was in the store and my hands started to just kind of reach of its own accord over to that trade magazine. And she said, wait a minute now, I just threw out 6 or 8 of them at $8 a pop. Hand comes back. No clutter coming in. Right? And if she really needs that particular trade magazine, but it's not out of habit. So she has retrained her brain to be out of that habit of buying things. And how does that translate across the board? You've retrained your brain from buying the Doritos. You've retrained your brain from getting into abusive relationships. You've retrained your brain into maybe to stop that bad habit. That's a whole different category. You've retrained your brain as to the physical clutter. So that's the one system in action. And it works.
It sounds like it all stems from awareness, right? So you have to really recognize those areas or those things or those items before you even get started. So it seems to me that it all starts with awareness.
Absolutely. And a big problem that's really, really well said, Todd. And it brings to mind the fact that our lives now are so busy that awareness is something that we don't really have. We are on autopilot so much that
I wrote about that in my book, being on autopilot and being just robotic, but it's so much easier to grab the phone and look at that TikTok.
That's right.
Right? I can distract myself with that Facebook video or that Facebook live recording than I can dealing with that piece of paper over there.
Yeah. it's the brain's default. And, going back to lizard brain, you know about the evolution of the brain, and we still have lizard brain where lazy is what I prefer to call it easy and less threatening. Whereas if you're taking action, you're the hunter going out looking after the saber-toothed tigers, and that's scary. You're entering into different territory. But if you keep at it again with small steps, then you will win and you'll drag home that tiger. Funny, like that metaphor. I haven't used that before.
Is there an aspect of time to your system? You've got one room, one area, one thing. What if you added 1 hour where people would just say, for this hour of time, I'm going to do this. If I want to do it for another hour after that, it's a bonus, but maybe just feeling like it's only 1 hour. It's 1 hour. I can listen to Life Mastery Radio while I'm doing this. So it's all good. Do you find that that's helpful while someone is there a time bound process that's helpful?
Absolutely. And it's essential. I'm so glad you asked that, because people what do you say? Oh, it's going to take forever. I play this trick on myself every weekend when I'm doing my housework and getting meals ready for the week, and I may not particularly be enthused about doing that. Same deal with decluttering, and I have some decluttering of my own that I'm doing, and I've said to myself, I will spend X amount of time, and certainly no more than an hour, and I like to keep it short, even 15-20 minutes. My client sessions, they pretty much go no more than 45 minutes of actual bull work, of actually doing that. Tell you why? Because the average person starts to lose interest after 50 minutes, 50 minutes.
Okay.
Your attention is gone. Praise the Lord and pass the ginseng. Otherwise, and you're going to need it. All right. But basically, if you keep it short and excellent point, certainly less than an hour, then it seems more like a job and less of a chore. Right? Yeah, if you think that you're sentenced to an afternoon of decluttering, God help us, right? Keep it short. Okay, well, I'll just bounce through this, and if a rabbit hole you find yourself starting to go down it or looking down memory lane with your photos, well, that's okay. Then you'll come back to it. Again, it did not accumulate overnight. It will not be. It'll still be there waiting for you. I know that's the problem. But certainly putting a time limit on it and having someone to help you helps some people. I find it difficult to work. I'm more the person who needs to actually focus on what I'm doing. Like I would listen to your show when I'm not trying to do something else, kind of thing. I can only do, some people can only do one thing. It's an ADHD thing, but many of my clients, they cannot do it with they have said, Kitti, I would never have been able to do this if I tried to do it myself. I needed somebody to be an accountability partner, basically to sit there and look at me and give me the kitty stare and just get me to do it. And structure makes a big difference. If you can find it, I've done this for a while where I'll do certain things at certain times, and scheduling your decluttering, and we'll go to physical. Scheduling your decluttering on a Saturday afternoon for an hour. Okay, good, that's done. I can go to a movie now, kind of thing. Or if it's
rewards are a big part of it. Do you use the reward system? So if I do this, I use this a lot. So if I can get through this, or I can do this task that I've been putting off, right? Or that I've been not doing, I'll be able to do this.
Right. And that can be where your social media would come in. If you're Absolutely, I think rewards are important because we don't treat ourselves enough, or we treat ourselves too much, and with all of the distractions. But the idea at the end of the day to be more profitably productive, I believe, is to focus on getting the right things done, which you can't do with it's more difficult to do with a cluttered brain or a cluttered space. But if you give yourself, the horse needs a carrot to follow. Does he not? So humans are no different. We need to be able to say, okay, there's a glass of wine waiting for me. If I can just do this for an extra 15 minutes, all right,
Right.
not that I drink, but or all right, there are some wonderful Brookshire chocolates. I will go have one after I have finished this piece of content.
Mhm.
That
And
seems to work pretty good for me. I find myself doing that. You know, I've got this urgent need to do something, and then I'll tell myself, no, you can't do that until you do that. And
Mhm.
once you do that, then you can do that.
Right. One client, she realizes that she doom scrolls, and we've chatted about that, and she used to start her day with that. Just, you know, she works at home. And of course, she has a teenage daughter, so that doesn't help because teenage daughter is going wing, wing, wing with
Mhm.
the scrolling. But she has managed to at least wait until mid-morning. Get rather than waste your wait for it mental energy on that, then all right, if I get through my first 2 hours of work that actually pays me to do my job, I'll give them my best 2 hours of nice and alert first thing in the morning rather than wasting my energy doom scrolling. Oh, I'll get to work in a little bit. I work at home. It's okay. No, always be thinking about your mental energy, and that little iPhone, you know, the battery icon, and you're okay, it goes down every time you are if every time you are scrolling and processing all of this nonsense information about somebody's cat. Sorry, guy. Uh, um, then you're just not making the best use
Yeah,
of your brain.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
It's funny, Kitty, when I had young children, I have two and they're only a couple of years apart. And I began to feel like there were so many toys all over the place. They would play with one for 3 minutes and then they would go grab another one. And then that first one they were playing with just still sitting there. And then they'd get 5 or 6 more out before lunchtime. And there's all this clutter all the time. And what I decided to do is divide all of their toys into 3 different piles. And then I packaged 2 of those piles up and I put them up in their closets. And they didn't even recognize that 2/3 of their toys were gone. But every month, I would exchange some of the active toys for some of that we'd been put away. And every month they thought, I got new toys.
Brilliant.
And it was a great way to train them to say, it was still like toys laying out, but it wasn't as many toys. And it
right.
forced them to feel like, hey, this is something new. I'll play with this longer than I normally would have because it's not just the same old, same old. And I wonder if that's something that we as adults could benefit from. I mean, well, let's just take our wardrobe for an easy example that, when you live in a place like I do in Seattle, Washington, where it's a pretty temperate climate
Mhm.
and we don't have big swings of where we need these big fluffy coats for long periods of time. And sometimes you can even wear your capri pants in the winter as long as you got boots or something wear with them, right? But I wonder if there's ways that you can take some of the clothes from your closet that you don't think you're going to wear for the next 2 or 3 months and actually store those away so that when you take them down, you go, oh, new clothes. Is that some sort of a mental system that would help us to appreciate some of the decluttering process if we got something new on occasion that wasn't really new, but it felt like it was because we hadn't seen it for a while? Is there something to that psychologically?
Well, I think, first of all, I have to compliment you. That's an absolutely brilliant strategy. about the choice, because they're getting Christmas every couple of months. It's everything old is new again kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the thing that it brought to mind was they have fewer choices. They don't have an entire Tupperware big bin, or 2 or 3 or 4 things that they have to choose. Sure, they're putting them aside because they can't decide. It's too many, it's too many choices. Whereas if you narrow it down, declutter the choices, if you will, then segueing into the closet. If you do have the luxury of extra space, of being able to put aside some clothes,
Mm-hmm.
again, getting rid of the obvious junk first. Yeah, well, I'm going to fit into those jeans, even though they're 20 pounds away. You know it, girl, right? Yeah.
I
Okay.
know it.
Yeah, I have jeans that are 20 pounds too big for me that I refuse to throw away because, well, I can
You
take
never know, right?
right. I can take, I know I'm not going to gain it back, but the point being, if you can reduce your number of choices, I'm not sure if I told you this before, but you can also really radically simplify your morning and save a whole lot of mental energy. I'm a huge fan of pre-planning. Don't even get me started. I could do a whole course on it. But since we're talking about the wardrobe, I happen to know that today is Tuesday. You know how I know? Because the shirt that I'm wearing is green. The other shirt that I would be wearing off there is pale gray. And this means that I have absolutely, do the laundry, it goes on the right hanger, nothing to think about, nothing to puzzle about, even for a nanosecond. It's just there, it's done, it's ready. And there was the first person I met where I live here was a realtor, and he did. I finally started realizing that he was using this trick, and I had never heard of it before. I wasn't doing it. And he said the people at the office, they had a Thursday get-together meeting, and when somebody said, Scott, don't you have any other shirts? Is that your only shirt? And Scott says, very matter of fact, he says, it's my Thursday shirt.
Yeah.
It's so simple. From his point of view, now he had been an ex hockey player. Maybe he did. I thought, I wonder if you've had a couple too many pucks to the head, brother. But after a while, I realized that this makes absolutely perfect sense. And turns out he perfect example of ADHD. Keep everything very, very simple so that you can put that mental energy to the things that are important. In his case, his real estate clients. In my case, our show or my clients or whatever. Just keep it the KISS system.
Right.
Simple, stupid.
Simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does
Oh
that
my
answer your
goodness.
question?
Yeah, it does. And actually, I admire you because I have certain colors I wear certain days of the week as well. And it just limits the choices. It's like, okay, Tuesday's always pink. Tuesday's always pink. I have several pink things I can wear and I mix it up, but every Tuesday it's pink. My green is Wednesdays, however. Green is what I wear on Wednesdays. But it does, and I don't think I have ADHD, but I found that just helps me make faster choices, to not look at my whole wardrobe and go, what am I going to wear today? I just know it's green day, so here's my green stuff. And I actually have my wardrobe filed in colors so that I can find those
I
colors.
love it. I love it. Todd, I'd love to hear your take on this.
You've known me
My
for a long
whole-
time, Todd. Did you know that was crazy?
My whole world is green. It's my favorite color.
Okay, well.
I couldn't imagine. I just, I think of my feet. And I couldn't imagine doing that, but I'm also a male. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. I just grab and go, right? It's this shirt's in the top and those jeans are ready to go. And, but my wardrobe isn't, I have fancy things, but my daily wardrobe is a t-shirt and blue jeans. So it just depends on what logo's on the front of it or what band or what what's on that shirt, but it really doesn't require me to choose.
Yeah,
Nice. It's the same system. Todd's using the same system.
right, yeah.
System
We
of-
only have about 10 minutes left, Kitty.
Oh.
I'm just amazed. This was really good stuff. Is there anything that we're missing? What are we missing? Does anything else come to mind? I know you have a giveaway, the 7 steps. Maybe you could highlight on those a little bit.
I'd be happy to. It is your 7 easy steps to conquer your physical and mental clutter. And it comes with 7 short little videos, so that you basically don't feel, they're 3-minute videos, so you don't feel alone in the process, because decluttering can be a very lonely journey. If you've ever pulled out, I'm going to do my closet, and you pull everything out, God help you, in 2 hours, you know that there's at the point of no return, and you are just hating life at that point. So, and for that, to your question, Todd, yeah, don't try to do it all at once. I've done it, and I am a professional, and I got through it, but I wouldn't recommend it. And these steps are meant to be followed in order, so that like, say for example, commit to your project and tackle it to make a schedule for it, and it's designed so that you will have permanent success. And even if you backslide, which we all backslide, I still have clutter, but I know that I can bounce back from it right away. And my clients have said that I can, that one, and I'll quote one, she said, I can declutter any room, anytime, anywhere, for anyone. And they have gone on to help others. And that to me is just absolutely marvelous.
Cool.
And it's a good example for kids too, right?
Yes, very much so, very much so, because they are, of course, they're our future, and
impressionable. They are very impressionable, and they pick up on others' habits, whether they realize it or not. And if we're incorporating good habits and good decluttering techniques, they'll pick up on it too, right?
Well, 2 of my clients did join, just simply because they had, one had a 6-year-old, the other was just entering her teens, and the woman said, I want to teach my child good habits, because I know that I'm a clutter bug, and I don't want them to grow up thinking that it's okay. So I want to start to train them early. And children are usually by nature orderly, and they like organization. They thrive on it, and generally they will organize themselves. But if they see that it's okay to have everything everywhere, and mommy dashing around like a maniac because she can't find her keys, this is acceptable behavior, apparently.
Or doesn't know what color shoes to wear.
Yeah, right.
Too many choices. Too many choices. You know, this whole show has reminded me of an experience I had, and maybe you could speak to this. I lived in an apartment, and it had an elevator. And every once in a while, I'd get in the elevator, and there would be stuff in the elevator: salt and pepper shakers, a picture, a clock, just different things. And they would all disappear. You'd go in the elevator again a couple hours later, and things were gone. And I was so curious about this. I don't know if I actually laid awake at night thinking about it, but one day I decided to take the elevator up, and I caught the lady. I caught the lady with a handful of things that she was going to put in the elevator. And I asked her, what is the deal? And she says, well, these things aren't serving me that well anymore, and it's a perfectly good opportunity for me to get new stuff. And I just give this stuff away, and it clears the clutter, and then I can get new stuff. What do you think about that?
I agree with the concept wholeheartedly. The method is a little unorthodox. I don't think my building would allow that, although it probably wouldn't even last one, between the 6 floors in
I
our
was
building.
amazed at how quickly that stuff was scarfed up. I mean, because it was neat stuff. It wasn't like it was junk. I mean, it was
Yeah.
something that's usable, and somebody would see that and think, "Oh, I could use that."
Mhm. One man's junk is another man's treasure. Maybe Buddy didn't have a Sydney. He thought of going to the store and plunking down $10 for a salt and pepper set. Oh, here's one here. Nobody seems to want it. All right, I'll take it, kind of thing.
Right.
So I applaud what she did, and she's absolutely right. It's not serving her, and then she can treat herself if she wants to the salt and pepper shaker that she does want, or maybe also decluttering memories, because how many of our possessions are attached to sentiment? And that is one of the biggest questions I get asked about the people have problems with, is how do I declutter my sentimental items?
That is a biggie because we tie memories to those items.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be.
Same deal, get rid of the obvious trash first. If something was given to you, or you acquired something that you remember, maybe it was from your last marriage, which wasn't particularly good. Beautiful little I'll give an example. Beautiful little music box was given to me it was given to me for that wedding, and I was brokenhearted, but I did give it away because I couldn't stand to look at it. She was lovely. The lady who gave it to me was lovely, but nothing else about it was lovely. So get rid of the things that don't make you feel good.
Right.
And same with your clothes, Jackie, anything like that. If you don't feel good in it, then that's a good litmus test. And
Right.
that's what I would call obvious trash. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with yourself, and you deserve to put your own oxygen mask on first.
And there's so many other people who would probably benefit by having that thing. They would love it, right?
Yeah. And if you teach kids that when you're decluttering, say, for example, just before Christmas, then this will go, and you'll be helping the poor kids, for lack of a better word.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And you'll get new stuff. Oh, okay.
Yay. So your download then is at www.declutterthebrain.com/declutter.
That's
So
right.
they can go to that website to learn all about you and what you've got going on, and then they can get your free downloadable 7 easy steps. You'll have to read that again, but with the /declutter after declutterthebrain.com. Cool.
Absolutely. And there's even a booking link if somebody wants a quick and free call to see what their cutter could be costing them.
Okay.
It's all there.
Very cool. And it will also be in this week's newsletter. Jackie will create a newsletter, and those links will be in it. So if you're not getting the newsletter, please sign up today, and you can go to www.lifemasteryradio.com. Sign up for that newsletter. That's all we use that email address for, and you will be up to date with everything Life Mastery Radio, the guest that's been on the show, the guest that's coming on the show, and a blog post about that show. So sign up today. Check out our YouTube channel, Life Mastery Radio. All of our shows, gosh, there's well over 300 shows with great topics and thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. Jackie, any quick takeaway? Was today's show a blast?
Absolutely. Had fun, enjoyed Kitti and all of your ideas and comments, and it's going to help a lot of people. So I appreciate you being here for sure.
Thank you so much for showing up as you today, Kitti. I appreciate you, and namaste, my friend. You keep going. Don't stop. I'm right behind you, and I don't want to step on you.
Thank you both for having me.
That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. My biggest hope is you'll tell a friend about the show, check out our YouTube channel, sign up for the newsletter, and please, 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 please make it a great day, because as you heard here today, it is all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.